Hey guys, so today in this video I'm going to be talking about some very interesting IEMs or in-ear monitors, and I've already done a few videos on IEMs before. IEMs are essentially, if you want to kind of simplify it, they're very high-end earphones. Like they go in your ear, like in-ear headphones. Yeah, essentially they're called in-ear monitors, but yeah, a lot of audiophiles like me, we listen to IEMs, and yeah, it's become kind of a hobby because there's so many different IEMs on the market. So in my previous video, I compared three very high-end IEMs. So this one right here is the Nostalgia Tesseract. It's by a Hong Kong company called Nostalgia Audio. It's a lot of IEM companies nowadays. And the Tesseracts were their previous flagship, retailing for $3,700 US. Yeah, I know that's a lot of money, but audiophiles, you know, they're willing to spend a lot of money on these things. It's yeah, it's just a hobby like that. And hopefully this will be my last video about IEMs, fingers crossed, because I don't want to spend much more money on these things. I know it's kind of like a hobby where you just end up spending a lot. But yeah, in my previous video, I was comparing these with the Quill Satins, which is another IEM that came out. These are all top of the line IEMs. That one retails for $3,300 US. And the UM Multiverse Mentors, which is by a Chinese company called Unique Melody. That one retails for $4,500. That's their flagships for that company. And yeah, these are all very expensive. And yeah, as you guys can see here, I'm holding these ones because they kind of won out in that comparison. And it's kind of a surprise, I guess, to both myself, and it might be a surprise to other people who watch that video, because these are not the last word in tuning or resolution. In that video, comparing it to the Quill Satins, I said the Satin had better sub bass and has better upper mids. It's just, you know, better texture and detail and resolution across the board. And the Multiverse Mentors, comparing it to that one had better bass as well. Very good soundstage, detail, resolution, texture, the note separation is all better than the Tesseract. So why did I keep the Tesseracts, right? These ones ended up winning out. So here, I'll tell you the reason is because, first of all, I'm pairing it with this cable called the Vortex Nadias, which is an $800 IEM cable. I know that sounds crazy as well, but I did another video on that. So yeah, these are also high-end IEM cables. Paired it with this instead of the stock Nostalgia cable. And on top of that, I'm using very high-end sources. So what I'm using is this is a almost $3,000 US is what this retails for. An Astol and Current SP3000M Copper Nickel Edition, which plays essentially a very high-end music player. Yeah, I know that all these prices sound crazy, right, to people who aren't audiophiles. But yeah, I'm using a very high-quality source, and then I'm using high-end cables. And with this combination, I felt like the Tesseract just has something. It has that emotional impact that I didn't get from either the Satins or the Multiverse Mentors. Even though those are technically better, like those have a little bit better detail, a little bit better texture and resolution. The bass on those are just better. Like Satins have better sub bass, MMs have better mid bass. The Tesseracts, yeah, the bass is good. It's got a good amount of quantity, but it doesn't quite have the detail, resolution, slam, or the texture of the Satins or the Multiverse Mentors. The treble is just okay as well. This is a 10 dynamic driver, sorry, not 10 dynamic driver, 10 balanced armature driver, 6 electrostatic drivers, so total 16 drivers in this IEM per side. Yeah, it's a lot of drivers, but they don't have a dynamic driver, so it doesn't quite have the slam or the punch that some other IEMs might have. So I think the bass is a little bit of a weak point, but the 6 electrostatics, even though it has 6 electrostatics, I felt like the treble definitely has a lot of air, very sparkly, but not necessarily better than the Satins or the MMs in that area either. So you might be wondering, you know, why did I choose these ones? Why did I end up with these? Now, I think when it came to those three, I ended up, first of all, the Satin was the one that I kind of pushed out first. And the reason why is because the high end of the Satins, the upper mids and the treble can get a little bit harsh and sibilant at times. I feel like it's a little bit too spicy sometimes, especially on like certain tracks. It can get a little bit too spicy, so I didn't like that. So yeah, and this being kind of a close comparison for me between all these three, that kind of ended up being the reason I pushed the Satin out, in the soundstage as well. I really care about soundstage, and the Satins just didn't really have it. It had like okay soundstage, but it's not the same as Multiverse Mentor or Tesseracts. Multiverse Mentor, okay, this is a pretty close comparison, and I ended up debating between these two for a while, the Multiverse Mentor or the Nostalgia Tesseract. So basically what ended up giving me the Tesseracts is the soundstage. I guess I just really like soundstage. The soundstage on these is just enormous. Like, out of all the IEMs I've ever listened to, the only ones that could possibly be considered bigger than these in soundstage are the Subtonic Storm, which is that's like a $6,000 IEM, very, very expensive. The 64 Audio Tia Fortes. That's also a flagship IEM that has incredible holographic soundstage as well. And the Noble Audio Viking Ragnars, that's a $4,000 IEM as well, which has very good layering. But even then, I don't necessarily consider the Ragnars, like they have probably more vertical layering, but the Tesseracts, it holds its own really against those, against Tia Fortes or Viking Ragnar's really in soundstage, which is pretty incredible, right? I think it's just something about these IEMs. Yeah, the soundstage is just incredibly deep, I would say, especially in the mids. So when I listen to vocals, the vocals just kind of like surround me. It's got this holographic 3D type of imaging with the vocals. Instruments as well, anything that lives in the mids, it's just very, very holographic. And it's giving me this emotional impact that I did not feel from the Satins or the MMs. So yeah, I ended up choosing this. The MMs are very good, the Multiverse Mentors. Obviously, when it comes to bass and note separation, I think it's just better on the Multiverse Mentors. But it just didn't give me the same emotional impact or the soundstage layering that the Tesseracts gave me. So there's something about yeah, the way that it layers the vocals in the soundstage that feels incredibly holographic. That's what ended up choosing. That's what ended up pushing the Tesseracts for me. So yeah, out of the three, the Satins, the Multiverse Mentors, and the Tesseracts, the Tesseracts actually won out because it gave me the best emotional impact. Out of those three, it was all pretty close, but yeah, the most emotional impact out of them all was the Tesseracts because of the wide 3D holographic soundstage around the vocals. Just made me feel that emotional impact that the others did not. So yeah, even though it doesn't have the best bass or the best trebles, I think that especially around the mids, having that nice holographic soundstage is what ended up choosing this one for me. So yeah, all this is a prelude basically because I have two very, very interesting IEMs in this video to show you guys that use very special technology, and they basically have to beat out the Nostalgia Tesseracts for me. So I think it should be pretty interesting, and both of these are older IEMs too. So let's take a look. What am I talking about? Let's take a look first at this one. So this is the Obravo EAMT-2C. Yeah, it's not a very good name, but so let me go talk about the background of this company. Okay, so Obravo these days might not be a very well-known IEM company. They're originally from Taiwan, so they're a Taiwanese IEM company. I actually don't really know too many other Taiwanese IEM companies, but they've been around for a very long time. I think, was it since the late 2000s or early 2010s or whatever, but these IEMs actually came out back in 2016. So almost 10 years ago, these IEMs came out, and they have very special technology. First of all, let's just take a look. The case here is very interesting because it's almost like a mini Rimowa suitcase. That's what it reminds me of, right? Like a small miniature Rimowa suitcase, like, you know, one of those aluminum high-end suitcases. So very, very interesting case, okay? Let's take a look. This company makes a lot of very interesting IEMs. So show you guys what they look like. Yeah, the appearance and technology of these IEMs is pretty unique. So they make several different lines of IEMs, and they all have different prices and stuff because they have different technologies and different materials. So for this one, it's called the EAMT-2C. They also have a 2A and a 2W. Yeah, because like they have different materials, I guess. So the 2A means aluminum, the 2W means wood, And this one, the 2C, C stands for ceramic, and that's all just the material of the nozzles, right? So they have one that has a aluminum nozzle, one with a wood nozzle, one with a ceramic nozzle, which is what this one is. This originally retailed for $3,000 US. So it was the flagship. Actually, no, not the flagship. They actually have an even higher end one called the Raw, but this one would be the one just right down from the flagship, because like their Raw flagship is incredibly expensive. It's like $10,000 US, which is insane. This one is the actual one that's, you know, it's expensive, but still like you're able to get it. Like if you're, you know, if you're so inclined, yes, $3,000 US. I know it's a lot of money, but if you're so inclined, at least you can kind of afford it. They're very high-end flagship, the Raw. Yeah, that's like out of reach for pretty much almost everyone. But yeah, let's check it out. Why I'm interested in this one, even though it's like almost 10 years old, is yeah, just the design and materials and everything. Let's take a look at why it's so interesting. So yeah, it comes with 6.35 millimeter or 1/4 inch adapter here for desktop amps. Comes with 3 sets of foam tips right here, and then it comes with adapters. So I'm guessing it comes with a 3.5 millimeter already. Yeah, it comes with a 3.5 millimeter already, but then I guess you can extend it to, this is just an extension 3.5 millimeter. Well, actually, I don't know why they give you another 3.5 millimeter adapter here, because they already have a 3.5 millimeter, right? So yeah, I'm pretty sure these are both 3.5, so I'm not sure, but yeah, they gave you another one, I guess. But the one I'm most interested in is this 4.4 millimeter adapter here. This one's going to be the one I'm going to be using, because these days, if I'm going to be driving this with a digital audio player, a DAP, then a 4.4 millimeter balanced connection is probably what I'll be going for, just to get more power out of it. So yeah, I'll be using this this 4.4 millimeter balanced connection. Yeah. And yeah, Obravo, pretty interesting name. I think they named it that because like at the end of a very good performance or stunning performance, I guess, when you're, you know, traditionally at the end of a stage play or something, you just, or a musical performance, the audience stands up and says, "Oh, bravo," you know. I guess that's how they named it anyways. I'm not kidding, guys. Look up the history, why they named it "Oh, bravo." That's literally the reason, is because at the end of a great performance, everyone stands up and says, "Oh, bravo." That's why they named it that. Anyways, yeah, a bit of an interesting story. Apparently, the founder spent a lot of years, yeah, trying to get the right sound and using the right materials and everything. And yeah, you come up with this. And these IEMs are different than almost every other IEM I've seen. You can see that they have wooden backs here. So these ones are made, the back cover is acacia wood, which is a wood native to Taiwan, I believe. And in the shell, these are the ceramic versions. Again, like I said, they make aluminum versions and wood versions, which are actually priced differently. The aluminum is the cheapest, the wood versions are the mid-tier, and I guess the ceramics are the high tier. And then for some of their other ones, like the Raw, their super $10,000 flagship, they also have titanium nozzles and copper nozzles as well, which are even higher end. But yeah, these ones will come with, I'm just going to use the stock silicone tips here. I usually prefer silicone over foam, because foam adds a little bit of bass, which might not be wanted. If you want just the sound to be a bit more natural, then sticking with silicone tips is better. But yeah, it's a very, very interesting design. I've never really seen any other IEM like it. Like the wooden backs, kind of like open back as well. You guys can see there's kind of like holes. Yeah, you guys can see there's like holes in the back. It's like vented. So it's a semi-open back in-ear monitors. And then, yeah, the nozzles these ones are ceramic, so they're white. Again, if you choose aluminum or wood, they're gonna look different. They look, yeah, actually, I'm not sure how good these are gonna be fit into the ear, because these do not look really that comfortable. Yeah, I wonder how these just like slide into the ear. They use proprietary connectors, by the way, so if you have a 2-pin, which is kind of standard these days, it's probably not going to work with these. They use their own proprietary IEM connectors, but at least they give you an idea of which one is, yeah, this is red, so that's usually traditionally the right ear, and then black for the left ear, I'm guessing. So at least they color code it that way. Would have been better if they just labeled L and R, but at least they color code it so you know which ear would go into. Yeah, so I'm guessing red is for right and black is for left. And this cable here is just a single crystal copper cable, right? Actually, this is, yeah, the pure silver and gold-plated silver and OCC copper cable. And again, this should be a good cable because it's hard to find an aftermarket cable for this thing since it's using proprietary connectors. You pretty much have to buy aftermarket cables from Obravo themselves. So yeah, what makes this special is the drivers in this thing. So these days, when you look at modern IEMs, they come with all sorts of drivers. Some might come with, 3 different types of drivers, like that's called tribrid. Some might come with 4 different types of drivers. There's one called quadbrid. There's even a new one called the Mystic Hex that comes with literally 6 different types of drivers. So it's getting pretty crazy, right? Your traditional driver is the balanced armature. That's the one that kind of does everything. Almost every IEM uses them. Dynamic driver is the one that a lot of IEM makers use for bass frequencies. Electrostatic is widely used for ultra high frequencies and high frequencies. And then you have planar magnetics, which are also used a lot these days as well. And bone conduction, which some people use for bass or for adding air. So there's a lot of different technologies that are used these days. These ones are pretty unique. Even today, it was unique back then when it came out back in 2016, and still unique today because the tweeters in this one, which is for high frequencies and ultra high frequencies, is not any of those drivers. This one uses AMT tweeters. That's right, air motion transformer tweeters. That's something that you almost never find in IEMs. At least this is the only company. Obravo is the only company I know that uses AMT tweeters in their IEMs. It's very, very miniaturized. So what's an AMT tweeter? Well, AMT stands for air motion transformer. Those types of drivers uses a folded pleated diaphragm that squeezes air to create sound, kind of like an accordion. You mostly would find them on high-end speakers, like my Martin Logans, for example. Martin Logan makes a lot of speakers with the folded motion tweeters, which are their version of AMTs. You might find them on high-end ELAC speakers as well. They're Jet AMTs, I believe. Emotiva speakers have them too. Yeah, they're basically very nice. Very nice high-end speakers would use them. When it comes to full-size headphones, not a lot will use those. I think the only ones I know of is the headphone, which is like the HEDD phone, like by Head Audio, I think. Those are the only ones I know that use them in full size. So yeah, once you get to headphones, finding AMT drivers is very, very rare because they're kind of expensive and hard to fit into a headphone, let alone an IEM. So somehow Obravo miniaturized the AMT technology and fit it into an IEM, which is kind of crazy. I've never seen any other IEM company do it, probably because they have a patent. So Obravo is the only company I know that does this, that has an AMT driver in their IEMs. So that's pretty cool. 8 millimeters. And they use it on most of their IEMs, especially the high-end ones. So these ones have them. 8 millimeter AMT tweeters and 13 millimeter neodymium dynamic drivers. So that's actually interesting because dynamic drivers, you do find a lot of other IEMs, pretty common, but made of neodymium magnets, not so common. Neodymium magnets are usually used in, again, speakers. Some headphones use them as well. I know a lot of guitar speakers use them. Pretty familiar with that as a guitarist. But in IEMs, I haven't seen too many use neodymium dynamic drivers. Again, dynamic drivers are common, but neodymium dynamic drivers maybe not so common. Yeah, but anyways, that's what makes this pretty interesting, caught my attention. And I want to try them out. Yeah, these IEMs from 2016 that use AMT tweeters and neodymium dynamic drivers. Pretty interesting. I think it's just those two. They don't really use balanced armatures, which is, again, kind of a unique thing about this one. Yeah, very unique combination for the drivers. So yeah, I'm going to test them out. I got these for $750 US, which is quite a big discount from the MSRP of $3,000. But again, these are old IEMs, so it makes sense. And that's one of the IEMs I'll be comparing. And again, my baseline here will be the Nostalgia Tesseracts because these are the ones I kept from the last comparison video as a top of the line IEM I'm keeping. So is it fair to compare a 9-year-old IEM against them? Well, who knows? I'm gonna see it. Just really curious about the technology, right? The AMT tweeter, neodymium dynamic driver, and it's something just by like a unique IEM by a Taiwanese company and by a brand that you really don't hear much of anymore. So yeah, it would be pretty interesting to test them out. I know this brand gets a lot of polarizing reviews online for some reason. Like they have the Cupid, I think, is their most popular one. It gets a lot of polarizing reviews. They're top of the line raw. $10,000. I think Krenackel, the famous IEM reviewer online, like, really killed it. Like he destroyed yeah, that IEM online. A lot of people just wrote off that IEM completely. So anyways, it's a polarizing company. I've seen people say Obravo makes amazing IEMs. I've also seen people say that they're complete snake oil. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what these ones are about though. Okay, so I have another very interesting flagship IEM from 2016 to talk about as well. So these ones are the Shure KSE1200s. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the Shure KSE1200s. These were Shure's flagship IEMs released originally. Originally, these were called the KSE1500s, actually, released back in 2016. And I'm using kind of like a more revised version released in 2018. You might be wondering, why are these IEMs connected to this little battery pack looking thing? So these are electrostatic IEMs, and you might be wondering, oh, if you're familiar with IEMs, a lot of IEMs these days use electrostatic drivers. Okay, what's so special about this one? This is a single electrostatic driver IEM. It's a single electrostatic driver that's a little bit different. It actually needs to be powered by its own amplifier. So think of this as essentially the IEM version of Stax headphones. So Stax is a high-end Japanese audio company that mostly makes electrostatic headphones. They focus on that technology, and they pretty much, if you're going for electrostatic headphones that only use electrostatic drivers, you have to use it with a special amplifier, and that's what this is. So why do I say KSE 1200 or 1500? Basically, they're the same thing. In fact, if you look at the back of these, it'll say KSE 1500 on them. Yeah. So they'll say KSE 1500 on these, even though the model of this is 1200s. What's the difference? Well, the technology and the IEMs themselves are actually the same for the 1500s and 1200s. The only difference is this little amplifier here. The 1500s also contain a built-in DAC and a display and an equalizer as well. But these 1200s, they don't have that. It's only just an amplifier. That's it. But I prefer getting the 1200s because they're smaller, and it's just an amplifier. It's a little bit just lighter and easier to carry compared to the 1500s, which have a built-in DAC, is a little bit longer, and it has a display and equalizer and everything. Yeah, sure, it's originally the higher end one is the 1500s. So originally the KSE 1500 with the DAC and the amplifier and the display all came together for a total $3,000 US. Yeah, $3,000 US was considered a lot for an IEM back in 2016. And then Shure released a revised version that only contains the amplifier without the DAC in the display for $2,000 US back in 2018. So this is the version I'm holding it now. Yeah, I just wanted to try these IEMs because they seem very, very interesting. Like, I think these are still the only IEMs that are single driver electrostatic. These days you have IEMs like, for example, the Tesseracts, right? They have 6 electrostatic drivers in it, but they also have 10 balanced armature. Like, they're usually combined with other drivers, but when it comes to these are the only IEMs that I know of that are single driver electrostatic. So what's electrostatic driver? Basically, just to keep it simple, they use a thin charged diaphragm that's sandwiched between 2 charged plates that both oscillate to move air. They're like a little bit similar to planar magnetics, but they're different as well, you could say. So yeah, just think of it as like you have 2 charged plates, and you have a very, very thin charged diaphragm in the middle, and the 2 plates vibrate, and then the thin film in the middle vibrates really fast to release air. And they're known for being extremely accurate and low distortion, and they're very lightweight drivers. But yeah, the downside being that you need a special amplifier to use them with, which we have here. So yeah, I'm very, very interested to test these out. When I look at the reviews back in 2016, 2018, they all say that this is one of the best sounding IEMs that you can get for that time. So yeah, let's see if it still holds up today, right? And compare it with the Tesseracts as well as the Obravos. I'm very interested to compare those. I know like one problem people talked about online with these already is that, yeah, the shells are not very good quality. So they're plastic. You guys can see these are plastic shells. Yeah, would be better if they use some better material than plastic. So I'm not sure hopefully the durability, you know, aspect will hold up over time. But so far, yeah, shell quality is just plastic. But hey, if the sound quality is up there, you know, the shell will be shell quality would be secondary. The sound quality would be first, right? Hopefully these ear tips will fit. These are the only ear tips I've seen that actually I think something that fits me, because it does come with some other ear tips. It comes with these flanger types, that Eddie-Modic types, and then the foam types as well. But yeah, interested to test these out. Shure is one of the OG IEM companies, dating back I think to the 90s. Like if you go back, like nowadays we have so many IEM companies spring up all the time, especially from Asia, right? But if you go back to let's say the 2000s or the 90s, like you only have a few: Eddie-Modic, Shure, Westone, Ultimate Ears. These are the OG IEM companies. So yeah, Shure really, I mean, they should know their stuff, right? Shure is a American audio company that really dates back, at least like 80 years, I would say. They really go back a long time, so they should know what they're doing. Also known for legendary microphones as well. So yeah, I've been pretty impressed with Shure's headphones, right, and microphones. So hopefully these IEMs will hold up. Let's take a look at the amplifier here. So again, this is the one for the KSE1200. The 1500 has a display here, and it's a little bit longer and it has a built-in DAC as well. But if you look on top, this is the input for the cable, which is proprietary. If you're looking to cable roll, unfortunately you can't do this, just like with the Obravos. Maybe it's because of the special technology or the drivers, but yeah, these are pretty much like proprietary MMCX type cables. MMCX is generally a cable connector that you can switch out, but not for these ones. These are kind of proprietary MMCX drivers, cables. And then they all use a special kind of cable to connect, a connector actually to connect into this amplifier here. So this is a proprietary connector. This cable looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it should last, right? It's fairly nice woven cable here, so hopefully it does last. But yeah, special connector here, and you have to use this amplifier with it. It takes in a line input, which is how you're going to input your source. So you have to have a good DAC to use with this. I decided not to get the 1500 mainly because the built-in DAC on the 1500 generally isn't considered very good. Like, it's okay, but I have a much better DAC when I have my Aston Kern SP3000M music player. This has 4 AKM 4499EX DACs inside of it. So I'm just going to use line out, and I'm going to use the line out mode here. And putting here, which is a 3.5, by the way. It doesn't use balanced, but oh well, should be okay. So yeah, the line input, I'm going to use my Aston Kern SP3000M DAP, use it in line out mode, so I can use the DAC only, and then I put the line in here, and then of course I have to use this as the amplifier. This is how you turn it on. You just have to rotate it, and this is also the volume dial as well. So you can use the volume, of course, from your source, like my DAP, but yeah, you can also use this as the volume as well to control the volume. And this will actually, it's got 2 indicator lights here. One is for power, of course, and then one is for whether or not the signal is going to be clipping or distorting. If it's green, that means it's good, but if it's red, that means it's been clipping, and then you have to reduce the volume. Down here, you have DC input, which is a micro USB. You got to remember it's 2016 originally when it came out, so that's why it's micro, not USB-C. Okay, so pad. What this means is that if you have a DAC that is outputting a lot of power or volume, then if it's causing the amplifier to clip, then you can actually reduce it by 10 decibels. So yeah, yeah, depending on the DAC that you use, if it's outputting a high amount of signal, then you can kind of reduce it here to avoid clipping. So that's what pad is for. And this will really depend on yeah, the line source that you're using and the DAC that you're using. So I'm going to have to test it out. Yeah, so for line in, also for the cable, I just bought this nice expensive AudioQuest Golden Gate cable to use. I just made a video comparing this to some other cables. No, it doesn't want to focus here. Yep, it's the AudioQuest Golden Gate. This is like a $130 3.5 millimeter interconnect. Yeah, I know it's expensive, but hey, if I want to get the best quality sound, you know, you just got to make sure you do that. And this is even directional too. So yeah, I'll be using this with the AudioQuest Golden Gate 3.5 millimeter interconnect, which is 0.6 meters. I chose the smallest length on purpose so that I don't have to have a long cable protruding out of here. I want to have the shortest cable I can because, you know, yeah, it's mostly going to be like this, right? Yeah, this is how I'll be using it, and I'll probably have to use like an elastic band or something like this to kind of keep it together, but this is basically how I'll be using it. I know this is really not that portable, but this is basically how you'll have to use the Shure's. Yeah, because it comes with this extra amp you got to carry around since it's single driver electrostatic, right? So anyways, I'll probably be using it like this. Yeah, it's a bit unwieldy, but if the sound quality is good enough, who knows, right? It might be worth it to carry it around like this. I know some people, some audiophiles, they carry around some Chord Hugo, Mojo, or Chord Mojo DAC and amp and stuff, just because they like it so much better with that. The sound quality is much better or something like that, and they're willing to carry around another piece of equipment. So yeah, some people are willing to carry around an extra piece of equipment just for the higher audio quality. So who knows? Anyways, yeah, that's what I'm really doing here. I have my $3,700 with the $800 cable here, Nostalgia Tesseracts, which is my current daily driver IEMs that are very high end that I've been satisfied with, but I've just been curious about trying these other ones out, right? So yeah, the KSE1200s and 1500s you can find for about around $1,200 to $1,500 US out right now. I actually bought this for $1,200 US. Pretty nice discount because originally they came out in 2016 for like $2,000 to $3,000, right? So you can kind of find them at a pretty good discount if you buy them right now. They are old IEMs after all. So yeah, so these ones originally retailed for $2,000, the KSE1200s. And then the Obravos, the EAMT-2Cs, which originally retailed for $3,000. Yeah, so let's compare them all. I'm very, very curious comparing the Shure KSE1200 single driver electrostatic and the Obravo EAMT-2Cs with the AMT drivers and the Nostalgia Tesseracts. Yeah, curious to see how the old IEMs stack up against this fairly new one or recent one. Yeah, we'll see. This is like a new flagship essentially. Actually, it's not the current flagship. It's Pendragon now, but whatever. This 2 years ago, this was Nostalgia's flagship, and yeah, these are the 2016 flagships. I've heard some reviews say that the Obravos are one of the best sounding IEMs at the time it was released. Same thing for the Shures. So yeah, we'll find out. I'm very, very curious. Both of these use very interesting technologies that are kind of exclusive to them. Again, Obravos, the only IEM company I know that uses AMT drivers, and Shure's the only IEMs that I've seen so far that use single driver electrostatics, right? So both of these use some pretty interesting technologies, and even though they're old, we'll see how they still stack up to the current day modern flagships like the Nostalgia Tesseract. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Giving you guys my subjective impressions. That's all I can do because I don't have any way of actually showing you guys how these sound because they're IEMs, unfortunately. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. I'm giving you guys my subjective impressions. All right, so now I've listened to these three extensively through the same tracks and just kind of compared them to each other. And yeah, I'm going to tell you guys what I think about them. So the question, do 2016 flagships still hold up today? Well, for these ones, I would say yes, they still do. These ones sound very, very good, but let me go into detail about each one. First of all, start off with the Nostalgia Tesseracts, which I already did a video review on. Like I said, in that video, I was comparing them to a lot of other high-end IEM flagships, like the Cool Satin, the UM Multiverse Mentors. I ended up picking this one mainly because of the soundstage. It's got very, very good soundstage, especially when paired with these Vortex Nadia cables. But these did cost a lot of money, right? Like these were $3,700 MSRP. I got them for $1,800. Good discount, but still I paid a lot, right? And these Nadia cables, added that in, then I paid in total probably around $2,500 US. So very expensive still. I know I got them at a discount, but still pretty expensive. Yeah, so this is really my baseline because I'm comparing this, which is my current IEMs of choice, because I compare it against a lot of other modern flagships. Do these ones even hold a candle to this one? Because these ones are not as expensive, right? You're talking about something that retailed for $3,700 US. You add an $800 cable. How can these compare to that, right? And these ones are more modern too. They came out just 2 years ago. Well, here's the thing. I tried, let's talk about the Obravo EAMT-2Cs first, okay? When I tried these, first of all, the fit is not exactly the best, because I have to admit these are not the most comfortable IEMs. Just look at how they're like, right? They're not the most comfortable IEMs. They do leak a little bit of sound, because you can see the sound holes there, but then again, the Tesseracts do as well. And I think that's why these ones have a lot of soundstage. Like I said, I chose the Tesseracts over those other IEMs like the Multiverse Mentor and the Satins because this soundstage was one of the best I've ever heard on an IEM. Well, these ones beat it. I'm not kidding. These soundstage is probably the best I've ever heard on an IEM. Probably right up there with the 64 Audio TF Fortes, honestly. Like, that kind of holographic soundstage, like, wow. Comparing like this one, the Tesseracts, which I thought have really good soundstage already. Yeah, these little guys, man. The soundstage is incredible on these. I don't know how it was done, but yeah, incredible soundstage. Probably one of the best I've ever heard on an IEM. It's really up there with TF Fortes. TF Fortes have incredible soundstage as well, right? Those are some of the best, widest soundstage I've ever heard, and the Obravos have that. What I have to say about the tuning though is that the bass is definitely on the lean side. So for those of you guys who are bass heads, you probably won't like the amount of quantity of bass here. The quality is still very good, I would say. The bass has texture, but it just, there's not a lot of it. So you won't hear too much bass. Treble, you would think that it has a lot of treble because it has the AMT drivers. But no, actually the treble is also a little bit lean as well, I would say. But yeah, I would say overall the treble's very good, still very detailed, but definitely also on the lean side. I would say these are very mid-focused IEMs, so the mids are actually pushed up a little bit on these ones. And it has a lot of good mid detail. In fact, it's just well detailed all around. The bass is detailed, has a lot of good texture, the treble as well, and the vocals and the mids, which are pushed forward a little bit. I think overall these are mid-centric IEMs. They have good detail all around, but they're going to have lean bass, lean treble, and the mids are going to be pushed up a bit. Soundstage is incredibly wide, one of the biggest sound stages I've ever heard on an IEM. So yeah, do these still compete well today? They still compete very well. I would say for the price I got them for $750 US. That's a very, very good deal. Even like I would say, if you go back to the retail price of these, which is $3,000 back in 2016, yeah, I would say even at that price, it would still compete well today. Because I've heard $3,000 IEMs, like say the Vision Ears V10 that I did a review on, that don't sound as good as these, and that's a modern day IEM retailing for that amount, right? So yeah, the other thing I have to note about these is that these require a lot of power. Maybe because they have the AMT drivers in it, but these require about the same amount of power as the Cool Satins. The Cool Satins have a planar magnetic driver in it, and on my Astel and Kern, which goes up to 150 volume, I would have to push it to about 100, I would say, to get a good amount of volume on the these ones on the Obravos, as well as the Quill Satins. So they do require more power than your typical IEMs. Just for reference, the Tesseracts I can put around 65 out of 150 steps. That's loud enough. These ones need about 100 out of 150 steps. So definitely they need more power, and you need a good source to drive them. I've heard that Obravo IEMs is very source dependent. This might be why there's so many opinions about Obravo everywhere. That's like, it's all over the place. You know, some say Obravo sounds like a $50 IEM, which is crazy, and then some people say that Obravo is the best sounding IEMs they ever heard. You know, it's all across the board in opinions. I think that's because, first of all, these need to be burned in for like 100 hours or something like that. So Obravo recommends something like that, right? So you need to burn them in first. It's different than other IEMs because they use AMT drivers. So the drivers are a little bit different, and the neodymium dynamic drivers, right? So you need to burn them in, first of all. And second of all, you need to use a very good source. Like I'm using the Aston Kern SP3000M. This is a almost $3,000 DAP, right? You need to use a very good source with these. Once you use a really good source and you burn them in, and then you get the right fit and everything, yeah, these sound incredible, actually. Soundstage is like the widest I've ever heard in an IEM, very like on par with the 64 Audio TF Fortes, which is like right at the top of Soundstage. More than the Tesseracts, which already I said the Soundstage was amazing on the Tesseracts. It's more than the Tesseracts in Soundstage, which is amazing. Detail, resolution, it's really all up there. So I would say even compared to the Tesseracts, it's pretty close, actually. It really depends on actually just the tuning, right? The Tesseracts have more bass, and the treble is I would say the thing is, like, this doesn't have too much treble. Like it's a little bit on the lean side, but it can still sound maybe like a little bit fatiguing over time, I should say. Yeah, because it has yeah, it has a little bit of harshness to it. So it's not perfect. The treble does have a little bit of harshness to it, so I can see it being a little bit fatiguing over time. That's where the Nostalgia Tesseracts will never these will never be fatiguing. The treble is never harsh, it's never fatiguing. So I think the treble on this is a bit better because it's not quite as, these ones, I'm not saying the treble is like always harsh, but depending on some tracks it can be, and I can see that maybe if you listen to them for a while, it can be like a bit fatiguing. So that's the thing. But it's also lean at the same time, so it's not like is not giving you a lot of treble, but that's fine. These ones don't give you a lot of treble either, but they're not as harsh or fatiguing. The bass quantity is more on the Tesseracts. They're lean on the Obravos. Mid detail, I would say the mid detail is actually better on the Obravos, to be honest, but the mids are very good on the Tesseracts, and they have that wide open soundstage, so I like them for that as well. So really, I would actually put these almost on the same level. It's really depending on what you prefer. So Tesseracts have better bass and maybe less fatiguing treble. Obravos have a better soundstage, actually, and the mid detail might be a little bit better on the Obravos because they're a little bit more forward. But yeah, overall, I would put these on the same level, despite the fact that this is a lot newer and this costs more money. But these ones, once you get the correct source to drive them, and you burn them in and everything, and get the right fit, then they're just as good, honestly. They're just a little bit different in tuning, but hey, you can always fix that with EQ as well. If the detail and soundstage is there, you can always fix it with EQ. But let me give you guys an example of how loud. If you guys are worried about the isolation level of these, let me give you guys an example. So push these, maybe you guys can hear it, maybe not, but let's go in the middle of the song here. Oh, there, push that up, okay. So, not sure how much you guys can hear that, but if I push it up a bit more. Yeah, so you guys can hear like, there's a little bit of sound leaking out. But it's okay. I mean, I'd probably be listening to these about this level here. So just be aware of that. It's not completely, yeah. It's like if you have someone sitting beside you, they might hear it if they're listening close enough, but it's still good, you know, like it's not like an open back headphone or anything like that. The Tesseract actually might be leaking even more sound if I go here. So yeah, let me go, like the listening level would, let's say, be about here. It's definitely lower on the Tesseracts. So yeah, you can definitely hear like a little bit leaking out of the Tesseracts too. Yeah, so it might be what's giving these more air. I think both the Tesseracts and the Obravos have a nice holographic soundstage to them, probably because they have more air to them. And the reason why they have more air compared to other IEMs might be because they're a little bit open back as well. But it's fine. It's like, again, you got to be really close to kind of hear that. But yeah, both of these are nice. Surprisingly, these, yeah, these which I only got for 750, like these ones, Obravo as a company, I know like a lot of people have mixed opinions about them if they've heard about them. I think in recent years, people don't even know about this brand anymore. But yeah, these kind of surprised me, you know, like when I first saw these, I was like, what the heck? You know, these look so different from any other IEM, and like they look, yeah, they honestly look really like shoddy almost, because like, yeah, I know these are supposed to be wooden and anything, but they look like, you know, almost like rusted, and I'm like, what the heck? They can't be sounding that good, right? But once I actually put them in and burned them in, drove them using the right DAP source, you know, high quality DAC and everything, I'm like, wow, how can this be producing such amazing soundstage? I don't know. But they're really good, you know. Again, you can find them for cheaper. Actually, if you can find them at all, I know they're not that common, but if you can find them at all, you'll probably be finding them much cheaper than the Tesseracts, for example. But yeah, I'm quite surprised by that. These are like, these retail for $3,700, right? And then I'm on the top of that, I have an $800 cable attached to it too. These ones with the stock cable and everything, yeah, like they're better than the Tesseracts in terms of soundstage, even wider. I believe like that was like unbelievable, right? Because I always said the Tesseracts have amazing soundstage. These ones even wider than the Tesseracts, and mid details like almost, it's like a little bit better actually than Tesseracts. And then bass and treble are the only things I would take the Tesseract over, and maybe fit as well. These are not as comfortable as the Tesseracts. Yeah, Tesseracts will be more comfortable. It's just, look at the design, right? These are like typical modern IEM design where it's like universal fit. So it'll be like 3D printed shells, right? It'll be like a little bit of a comfortable fit, but these ones are just kind of weird. Almost like earphones. They look like earphones. So they're not going to be as good of a fit. But sound quality wise, it's right up there. Okay. So yeah, very, very impressed with the Obravos. If you drive them with the right source and you burn them in, they're right up there with the Nostalgia Tesseracts, which is quite impressive. So, okay, let's get on to the Shure KSE1200/1500s. Okay, what do I think about this one? All I have to say is I was blown away. First of all, if you just try these out of the box and you don't EQ them, they might sound, the tuning is going to be, I would say not for everyone. It's definitely like neutral-ish with a treble spike. So yeah, the bass is very lean, and the mids are just sort of, I guess the mids are just also sort of lean as well. They're not like really recessed, but they're not pushed forward either. So you could say like the bass is lean, the mids are kind of leanish, and then the treble is pushed up. On the like 8K, I would say, if you look at the graph, all those you guys who are audiophiles, you kind of, you know, if you guys know what kind of graph I'm talking about. At the 8K peak frequency, that's where like you have some of the cymbals and stuff like that. Some of the hi-hats, right? You have that 8K frequency. Yeah, it kind of peaks up quite a bit there. So it's spiky. It's got a bit of a spiky treble, and then on the 5K, it actually dips down. So it's got kind of a weird treble tuning. And I think that's why some people don't like the KSE 1200s or 1500s with the stock tuning, because stock tuning is a little bit, well, it's not for everyone, I would say. Yeah, it's just got very lean bass, not a lot of it. It's good detail, good texture, but not a lot of it. Mids also kind of just lean and neutral. And then the treble's got like a dip in the 5K region and then a spike in the 8K region. So it can be definitely harsh for a lot of people. And that's why a lot of people have mixed feelings about the KSE 1200s, right? With the stock tuning. But the thing about the KSE 1200s is if you look online and then you find these people, you know, that don't like the stock tuning, you know what you should do and what everyone recommends, you have to EQ them, okay? Once you EQ them, and I know you can EQ any IEM, I know that, right? You can EQ any IEM, but it's especially good for the KSE 1200s/1500s because these have all the detail in the soundstage already. You just gotta tune it properly. Once you tune it properly, it's like near end game level IEM. It's like incredible. First, I have to say the fit when I try these, when you put them in your ears, it isolates the noise and environment like nothing else. Like it could be the way that the electrostatic drivers and the wall of sound and everything, but also like the way that they design these IEMs. But once you put them in your ears, it just completely blocks out everything else. Very, very isolating. Compared to almost every other IEM I've tried, these ones isolate sound like no other. So you almost feel like it's just you by yourself in a room. And then when you actually tune it properly, EQ it properly, then it just sounds absolutely amazing. Like compared to these two, I know I talked a lot of good things about the Tesseract and the Obravos already. The KSE1200s just, they're on a different level. Like, yeah, I understand why like you would want to even carry this together. I know it's not very portable because you got to carry an extra amplifier with you all the time, an extra cable with you all the time. But Jesus, like the sound quality, it's just how do I describe it? Once you EQ it, of course, I would add more bass. Like give it a bass lift because it doesn't have enough bass. The mids, I would probably balance out the mids a little bit more, and the treble, I would reduce that 8K spike and I would push up the 5K. Once you kind of balance that out, it just sounds, the tuning is great, and the soundstage and the detail is all there. Like the soundstage, especially, I know I talked about the Obravo and the Nostalgia Tesseract, right? I talked about the soundstage on the Obravos being probably one of the best I've ever heard on IEMs. When I try the Shures, it's just another level, even more. Like the soundstage on the Obravos might be like coming everywhere from left and right, but the KSE1200/1500s, the soundstage just envelops you. It's like coming from all around. I think that's the best way I can explain it. It's like a 360-degree surround sound type of enveloping soundstage. Yeah, it's got to be heard, right? So the Tesseracts already had great soundstage, as I said. The Obravos is another level. It's just, yeah, the width of that soundstage is incredible. But then another level, the KSE1200/1500s. Like the soundstage is just all around you. It's incredible. And the detail and the texture, it just sounds like, I don't know if it's that electrostatic sound, right? It sounds like silky. Yeah, I don't know what's a better way to describe it. It's just, the sound is silky. It's got this warmth to it that I can't describe. Yeah, it's like you just gotta hear it to believe it. It's this electrostatic sound that if you heard a Stax headphone, you would kind of hear the same thing. Yeah, it's just this velvety, silky type of sound. That's like on the warm side almost, but it's also very, very fast and accurate. So transients are just incredible on this thing. Like, how can I explain it? Yeah, once you EQ this thing, it just becomes like an in-game IEM, honestly. That's all I gotta say. In fact, if you guys are interested, I'll give you guys the EQ for this right now. So as I do have, you can look some of these up online as well, but this is what I personally set the KSE1200 EQ to. So basically at 30 hertz, I have a 2 decibel push because to add more sub bass. And then at 45, 1 decibel, and 60 hertz, 1 decibel, 90 hertz, 1 decibel. This is all kind of giving it like a bass lift because stock tuning, it doesn't have enough bass, honestly. It just needs a bass lift. 120 hertz as well, I add 2 decibel. And then 180 hertz, I push it down 5 decibels. By the way, this is the Aston Kern equalizer. I know everyone's equalizer is going to be a bit different, but this is the Aston Kern one. Yeah, I move 180 hertz down 5 decibels, and 250 hertz is down 2 decibels. I keep 380 hertz at 0, nothing changed there. 500 hertz, I bring up 1 decibel. 750 hertz, I bring up 1 decibel as well. Then at 1K, so this is all just balancing out the mids a bit. 1K, I reduce the decibel by 1. 1.5K, I also reduce the decibel by 1. We're really getting to the mids here. At 2K, I reduce the decibels by 4. And then at 3K, I kind of push it up by 2. And then at 4K, I push it up by 4. So yeah, probably around 1.5, 2K, 3K, this is where the upper mids are going to be. And then you get into treble, right? Treble region. 6K, I don't do anything. And yeah, 4K is when there was a dip. So this is around the 4 or 5K. There was a dip here, so I pushed it up 4 decibels on 4K. Don't do anything on 6K. 8K is where there was a spike, so I pushed it down 5 decibels because there was a spike there. And then 12K, I reduced it again by 3 decibels because there is still like a slight spike there as well. 14K, I reduced it down 1, but it really doesn't matter because 14K is like really on really high treble at that point. And then 18K nothing. So this is for acetone current equalizer. That's just my equalizer settings for this. But once you guys turn on the EQ for this thing, it just opens up, and then, well, you know, you tuned it, right? If you tune it well, you got the right tuning already. For me, I lift up the bass, so I have decent amount of bass on this thing because it was too lean before. And then I bring down that 8K peak, and I bring up that 5K peak, or valley, I should say. I bring up the 5K valley. And the mids, I kind of smooth it out a bit more. So yeah, after I do that, the tuning is perfect, and the soundstage is just enveloping. The detail, resolution, texture is all top tier, I would say. So absolutely, for me, and I've tried the Quill Satin $3,300, UM Multiverse Mentor, it's a $4,500 IEM, Nostalgia Tesseract, right, $3,700 IEM. I've tried all these. This one from 2016 with a single electrostat driver might be the best IEM I ever listened to, once you tune it properly, right? Once you EQ it properly. Without EQ, I know it sounds a little bit weird and might not be for everyone, but once you EQ it properly, this is like amazing. So good job, Shure. If you can pick this up for $1,200 to $1,500 online, which is what you can find it for right now, yeah, it's great. It can compete easily with any flagship IEM, I would say, that's released these days. So the only thing is, the only drawback, of course, is that you have to charge and carry around an extra thing. So yeah, that's the only problem, right? Which means that this might be for more at-home listening, but even for at-home listening, I would say this is still better than a lot of full-size headphones, and I've owned a lot. I've owned, you know, Darren Clark, Nora X is what I have right now, which is really good, but I'm actually not sure if I would listen to that over this. Hi-Fi Man HE1000, I've listened to that before. Really great headphone, but again, I might actually still take this. So yeah, what can I say? These are just really, really great. Yeah, the only drawback, you got to charge and bring around an extra thing. So yeah, that's the only annoying part. And of course, like some people might say, oh, the build quality isn't good. It's hard to find tips for it. You can't cable roll them. But aside from all that, and I'm using the AudioQuest Golden Gate cable as well. That might have something to do with it. But yeah, so aside from all the inconvenience of carrying around an extra amp and everything, if you just care about the sound quality, I think these are probably the best sounding IEMs I ever listened to. Like, yeah, it's hard to describe the sound of electrostatics. It's just, once you tune it correctly with the EQ, the soundstage is enveloping. The detail and texture is just, it's silky. I don't know a better word to describe it. It's like silky, velvety. Yeah, it's just different. It sounds different than other IEMs I've tried. I know probably the Obravo does come close. The Obravos with the AMT stuff, yeah, the AMT drivers on the Obravo, it does kind of have a little bit the electrostatics kind of texture in it, but nothing really beats a single driver electrostatic. I think it's just that texture is wow. So anyways, yep, that's my verdict on these. If you guys can pick up one of these Shures, the KSE1200 or 1500, I highly recommend them, right? Like I said, only drawback is carrying around this extra thing, but hey, if you care about sound quality, I really do think that these are endgame. These are endgame level IEMs. They really compete with any flagship, I would say. Even today, you know, came out in 2016. Even today, they compete very well. So yeah, out of all these IEMs, I'm gonna say in terms of sound quality, just pure sound quality, the Shures have to take it. Like, it could be the fact that it's just incredibly isolating as well, but it just feels like I'm by myself in a room listening to incredibly high-end speakers. You know, that's what it feels like, and it's just, the sound is just coming from all around me. Just incredible sounding IEMs. Yeah, what else can I say? If you guys can pick this up, $1,200, $1,500 is what I see them going for online. I definitely recommend it. Again, these are not going to be for everyone because yeah, They're inconvenient. I know you got to carry around an extra amp. The cables are not very swappable. The tips as well, it's kind of like special. But yeah, and I know there's another cable you got to buy for the line in and everything. You got to have a good source. That's another thing I have to mention. This thing is very source dependent as well. So you got to make sure you have a good DAC going into it. Because I tried this with my Hy-Vee RS6 DAC. Didn't sound quite as good. That's still a nice DAP, but it's got a nice R2R DAC inside of it, but it didn't sound quite as good. And once I switched to the Acetone Current SP3000M, then I plugged this DAC into here, and this has 4 AKM 4499EXs, right? Very, very high-end AKM DACs inside of it. So once I plugged this one inside of here, then yeah, it just went to another level. So yeah, that's another thing I have to mention is that, yeah, if you're going to be using these, make sure you have a very good DAC to use with it, or a good DAP if you're going to be using it portably. It's just, yeah, it's very source dependent as well. So same thing as with the Obravos. Both the Obravos and the Shures are going to need to have a very good source to drive them. So it's one thing to keep in mind. I think this might be a reason, you know, some people have a lot of varied opinions about these IEMs, the Shures and the Obravos. It might also because of the source as well, very source dependent. But once you have a very good DAC to input here, then it's just, yeah, nothing beats it. The best IEMs I've ever heard, and incredible. So yeah, what can I say? In terms of pure sound quality, the Shures are just on another level. And then, like I said, the Obravos and Tesseracts, well, pretty close actually. It just comes down more to what you prefer. I would say for mid-detail soundstage, I think the Obravos might take it. But for comfort, for bass, and non-fatigue and treble, I'll take the Tesseracts. And the soundstage, honestly, it's still pretty good. You know, it comes close to the Obravos. So yeah, pretty close between these two. And then the Shures are just on another level. But you do have to deal with some other inconveniences, I would say, with this one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I can see why like some people might actually just strap it like this and carry it around like this. So, you know, have a high-end DAP with a very good DAC, and then you know, have a good interconnect cable, and then kind of strap these two together, because the sound quality really is just really amazing with the Shures. But if you guys don't want to deal with that, then yeah, both the Tesseracts and Obravos are really good as well. So as you guys, let me know what you guys think. I think I might be done with my IEM game, guys. Like, there might be like better resolution or detail. There might be IEMs that are tuned differently, but just in terms of, for me, like, I really care about soundstage. I think that's probably the most important thing for me when I listen to yeah, like, maybe just my preference, right? I really like to listen to IEMs with large soundstage. That's probably why I couldn't stand the Satin that much. I love the Satin, you know, it's got great technology and it sounds nice. It's nicely tuned, great sub bass and upper mids, but it just doesn't have the soundstage. And Multiverse Mentor, it has good soundstage, but just not on the same level as these guys. So maybe for me, just soundstage matters the most, right? And then in terms of soundstage, I think these three are just, they're really hard to beat, honestly. TF Fortes, Viking Ragnar, Subtonic Storm, yeah, those all have great soundstage. I know there's even more expensive IEMs you can get, like the Brise Audio Fugakus, right? But those are like, what, $14,000 IEMs, right? That's just, you know, you're spending way more money than I would say it's rational at that point. But at least in terms of value, right? You can probably get these fairly cheap if you can find them. If you can find them, then the Obravos are nice. But the Shures, right? If you don't mind carrying around this extra amp, then this is actually pretty good value, because you can find this for $1,200, $1,500, and it will easily, like, if you EQ it properly and drive it with a good DAP or DAC, then easily beats anything else in that price range. And it really will compete with any flagship level IEM, I think. So yeah. The only thing is you got to have a good source, and then you got to carry this thing around, right? That's the only thing about the Shures. But the sound quality is just pretty incredible with that one. So that's really my verdict on these three. Yeah, this is going to be my main IEM collection from now on, because I might just use the Shures at home. I'm not sure if this will be Like portably, right? I got to bring in extra things, so it is kind of inconvenient. But at home, like, sure, I can use these, and to be honest, I actually prefer them over like full size headphones, like my Dan Clark Nora X and Hyphaman HE1000 now. So, yeah, I might just use these at home as an at-home earphone or IEM, right? So yeah, this might just beat out all my current full-size headphones, believe it or not. I know that's crazy, right? Because people always think full-size headphones, they must be better than in-ear headphones, right? Because, well, they're bigger, right? Well, that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, they're bigger, but that doesn't necessarily mean they always have better sound quality than IEMs. And the KSE1200s or 1500s are just proof that, well, you can have some IEMs that sound just as good or better than high-end full-size headphones. I mean, unless you have a Stax, you know, obviously if you have a Stax at home, then that's just like the full-size headphone version of this, which should be better. But yeah, I might just keep these at home and just listen to them at home. And because it's already, I think I still prefer them over a lot of my full-size headphones. And then for these two, it might depend on what type of music I'm listening to. But both of these two are really nice, right? The Obravos have a bit more soundstage. Tesseracts might be a little bit more comfortable, and I do like the bass and the more energetic sound of this one. The Obravos seem to be more vocal focused, so yeah, out of these two is more of a tuning preference, right? Obravo's more for vocals, I would say, vocal tracks, and then the Tesseracts for a lot of energetic music. It's good for vocals too, right, honestly. But, you know, for energetic tracks, I might be good for that better than the Obravos. So I might just keep those two, and that's a preference thing. So yeah, my TLDR would be the Shure KSE1200 overall. Just if you have the source, like a good DAC and everything to drive it with, and you EQ it well, then it's just pretty much endgame level IEM, honestly. Like, it's just incredible. Soundstage, detail, resolution, and of course if you EQ it, it's going to be, you know, good tuning as well. So that would be on top. And then yeah, the Obravos for soundstage imaging, it's pretty good. Like, yeah, near the best I've heard. And for vocals, anything with a lot of mid presence, instruments, guitars, and stuff like that, I might choose the Obravos. And the Tesseracts, yeah, energetic tracks that you know, have bass and treble, electronic music, dance music, pop music, hip hop, R&B. I think that stuff Tesseract is really good for. Yeah, the Obravos are definitely more on the neutral side compared to the Tesseracts. So yeah, all three of these have a place. I think it really depends. Really, the Shures, I mean, are overall the best, but they're also not very portable compared to the other IEMs. And then the Obravos and Tesseract are really just more of a preference thing, depending on really what you prefer, what kind of music you listen to, etc. But those two are actually pretty close, you know, surprisingly close. Because, like, basically what this video has proven to me is that, yeah, these 2016 era IEM flagships with unique technologies are still very much competitive. And if you have the proper sources to drive them with, like the Shures and the Obravos both need to have good sources to drive them with, and a good amount of power. So once you have the proper sources, then they're just as competitive, you know, with any current day IEM flagship. And this is all relative speaking, of course, because normally I would say the Tesseract is quite good in vocals and the soundstage is quite wide, right? It's just that the Obravos are even better in those areas compared to the Tesseracts. If I had my Multiverse mentor here, I would say those are actually going to be the best for energetic tracks, because that bass is even better, right? But yeah, if just out of these three, I would say for the most dynamic sounding, lively sounding, yeah, out of these three, Tesseract probably has the most dynamic sounding type of listen. And then The Shure is depending on how you EQ it, of course, but the stock tuning is actually quite neutral with the treble spike. So that's not the best for everyone. But if you do like that, then of course you just keep the stock tuning. But I would say EQ it, please, if you really want to get the best out of that. And then the Obravos, yeah, just great for mids. You know, that wide soundstage and imaging makes it really good for that. So yeah, the Shures and the Obravos are both really great with EQ, I think. Out of the box, the Shures are definitely not going to please everyone. Neither are the Obravos, I would say, although the Obravos have probably better tuning out of the box than the Shures do. But yeah, neither of them I think would really please everyone out of the box. That's why I recommend EQing both of them. But I know that there's purists out there that say, oh, we don't want to EQ, you know, that sounds so artificial. We want to have like the more natural sound of the IEM, the stock tuning. And yeah, I get that. I mean, you could tune any IEM to be like the same sound signature as another IEM, but it's not going to be as great as just listening to the original IEM, right? So like if I elevate the bass, for example, using EQ, it's not going to sound as good as that IEM just having that amount of bass to begin with, right? I know that obviously you'd rather the IEM just have that amount to begin with, right? That amount of bass or mids or treble. But I will say that if the technicalities are there, which they are in the case of the Obravos and the Shures here, and you didn't pay that much for these IEMs. You know, I didn't want to pay like say $4,000, $5,000 to keep churning all of these trendy IEMs on the market just to find the one I like best, because I know that's what a lot of people do on the market. They find all these expensive IEMs and they keep trying them and churning them, buying and selling just to try to find the one with the perfect tuning. Well, I spent like less than $2,000 on these both, and if I can just EQ them to get them to the right tuning, the perfect tuning, without having to spend all that money. And you might say, well, you know, that's cheating, it's artificial sounding, don't EQ, etc. We want to hear the natural tuning of the IEM. Well, okay, fine, you can think that, but for me, I get to save a lot of money just by EQing these IEM because they already have the technicalities all there, right? You can't fix technicalities by tuning, but you can definitely, I mean, you can't fix technicalities by EQing, but you can definitely fix the tuning by EQing, right? So that's the thing. The Shures and the Obravos already have the technicalities. They have the soundstage. They have the resolution, the texture, the imaging. They have the technicalities already. It's just if you don't like the tuning, okay, well, you can fix that with EQ. And then once you EQ it, you have basically a top-of-the-line IEM after that. So, yeah. And if there's people out there who are like, no, we don't want to use EQ. We're the purists, right? Of course, you just want to have an IEM that naturally has that tuning to begin with. Fine, I understand that, but you are going to pay a lot of money to churn all these IEMs to try to find the one with the perfect tuning, right? But for me, you know, I got to save some money by not doing that and just EQing instead. So that's my thoughts about EQ, you know, just personally. I know it's going to be causing some debate among purists, but I only use EQ if I have this kind of scenario when I do have IEMs that already have the technicalities, just the tuning definitely, you know, needs some fixing up. And it's not like I'm changing the I'm not changing the frequency response too much, you know. I'm just like lowering the 8 kilohertz by a few decibels, you know, boosting up another one of the frequencies, like that little dip, right, in the upper mids or the lower treble. If I was fixing that little dip and then I'm lowering that 8K peak, and that's really adding some sub bass, right? Obravo, same thing. I'm adding some sub bass and I'm adding some treble as well, and that's really it to fix it. I'm not completely modifying the sound signature or anything, just boosting some frequencies or lowering some frequencies by a few decibels is all I'm doing. I'm not going to change the tuning all too much. So to me, yeah, I'm not like committing some kind of blasphemy by completely changing these IEM sound signatures or something like that. So to me, I think it's okay, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think about EQ? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so I realized I spent a lot of time comparing the Obravos with the Tesseracts, but not so much for the Obravos against the Shures. So let me do that now. So yeah, the Shures, like I said, overall, I think this, once you EQ it and you give it enough power and a great DAC, then I think these are probably the best IEMs I've ever heard. But the Obravos, honestly, they do come close. Like, the technology is different, of course. Like this one is single driver electrostatic, and the Obravos use AMT drivers and a neodymium dynamic driver. But honestly, the tonality and timbre does come close to the Shures. Like, I can't say they're exactly like the Shures because they're different technologies, but the AMT driver here, it might be that you do get a bit of that silky, velvety smoothness, right? That rich, velvety texture and the warmth of electrostatic drivers. I think the Obravos do kind of get that. Not exactly the same, but I would say about 80% you're there. So that's what I felt anyways. I felt the Obravos actually come pretty close to the Shures in terms of the tonality and the timbre. I can't say that for pretty much almost every other IEM. I think the Shures sound pretty different, but the Obravos probably come closest. And the soundstage, yes, the Shures do have that 360-degree enveloping holographic soundstage, which is really nice. The Obravos have that super wide soundstage. Again, like I said, probably one of the best that I've heard alongside the TF Fortes. It's very wide. Imaging is great as well. It isn't quite at the level of the Shures though. It's maybe like 80%, I would say, but it comes close, you know. So I would say the Obravos do come close to the Shures, especially after you change out the tips. The stock tips were kind of uncomfortable. They don't give you a lot of variety anyways, but I changed it to Elitech Baroque stage tips, and now I think I get a better seal with them, and they're a lot more comfortable. So yeah, after changing it out using Elitech Baroque stage, and it fits the nozzles actually as well, which is yeah, it fits fine. So yeah, now after changing out the tips, and of course you got to drive it with a good DAP and everything, a good source. Then it comes to, I would say, maybe 80% of the Shures. It's not exactly the same. I still think the Shures are still the best sounding IEMs I've listened to if driven to the... If you have a proper DAC to drive these and you EQ it right, then it sounds, yeah, really, really good. And the Obravos come close. And I think I probably have to EQ them as well because, yeah, like I said, stock tuning with the Shures, it's a bit of a mixed bag here because you have very neutral tonality overall. Like the bass is very neutral, mids are very neutral and lean, and then you have a treble spike. So a lot of people might not like it, but that's why a lot of people recommend EQ online. Once you EQ these and you drive it with a proper DAC, and then you use a great cable with it as well, a decent cable, then it becomes like a really flagship end-game level IEM quality, right? One of the best I've heard. Obravos, I feel like I need to do something similar because out of the box, I mean, these are pretty good out of the box after you burn in for like, yeah, about like 100 hours or so. You really hear open up the mids, and the mids especially are the star highlight of this one because it is mid forward. The bass is quite lean, treble is quite lean as well. So it's a very vocal mid focus set. But yeah, for something a little bit more energetic and, you know, something that works well for more genres, like I wouldn't say the Tesseracts are an all-arounder, but they're definitely more of an all-arounder compared to these two, right, initially, if you don't EQ them. So yeah, like in my other review, right, I said the Tesseracts are probably, yeah, they're good. They're not as great of an all-arounder as the Satins or Multiverse Mentors, but it's pretty good for vocals and stuff. But now, out of these three, if you don't EQ these, then the Tesseracts become the best all-arounder out of these three. So I feel like the EQ is just making them more of an all-arounder. Otherwise, it's definitely not to everyone's taste. So what I would do for the Obravos, because they're so vocal focused, is or so mid focused, is I would lift up the bass a little bit. So the bass is definitely very lean on these. They're very detailed and have great bass extension, but I would just lift up the bass a little bit, the sub bass and the bass texture, the mid bass, just raise it up by a few decibels. And then for the treble's also it's got great treble extension and great detail as well. It's again a little bit recessed, so I would raise up the treble a little bit as well to balance it out with the mids. So yeah, once you do that, you EQ them a little bit, yeah, then they actually become, like, I would say 80% of the Shures. So once it's EQ'd, then it'll become like 80% of the Shures EQ'd. So yeah, and you got to drive these with a great source, obviously, as well. So you got to have a great source, a great DAP, or something to drive these with. Once you do that, it comes pretty close, and both of these are very good. And you want this, for me, I want these to be as close as the Shures as possible, because the Shures, honestly, as great as they are not very portable because of this thing. So if I can get the Obravos to be more comfortable to fit into my ear, like the Shures are just incredibly comfortable in my ear, right? Isolates sound really nicely. So I want to get these as close to the Shures as possible. Out of the box, these are not very comfortable with the stock tips. Once you change out the tips, you drive it with a great source, you EQ it so it becomes more better balanced and not quite as mid-focused or vocal focused, then it can work for a lot more genres. And yeah, I can probably get them to like a similar level to the Shures in terms of the tuning. Then it becomes pretty close, because like I said, the soundstage is already there. It's almost as great as the Shure soundstage wise. Detail, resolution, texture, it's already kind of close to electrostatics, not exactly there, but kind of close. So yeah, once you EQ it, get some great tips, drive it with a great source, a great DAP, which I already have, most audiophiles already have, then these really, like, yeah, I would say like it will compete with any flagship IEM out there, right? I'm not saying it's gonna beat like the $13,000 Fugaku or the Mistacraft Hex, that's like $9,000. I'm not saying it's like gonna beat those, but for most of the flagships out there, around like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 range, I think the Obravos can compete very well once you do those things, right? Get better tips so it makes it more comfortable. You EQ it so you add more bass and trebles to balance it out with the mids, and then drive it with a proper DAP. And yeah, once you do those things, it can compete with any 3K, 4K, 5K IEM, I feel like. And it comes pretty close to the Shures as well, since it already has kind of that electrostatic texture on it already. So yeah, that's my opinions about the Shures, the KSE1200s, 1500s versus the Obravo EAMT-2Cs. Yeah, if you EQ both of them, drive them both with a proper source, then the Obravos will come to about 80% as good as the Shures. And the Shures already, these are still like, yeah, once I listened to these, like, I remember when once I EQ'd these, it was like really, really hard to stop listening to them. They were just so good. The texture is just so velvety rich with that electrostatic type of texture. It's just kind of, it's addicting. It's intoxicating is what I want to say. Intoxicating, yeah. So I'm not saying to say it's not exactly the same as the Shures, but you can get pretty close. And for me, that's as much as I want, right? I want to get as close to the Shures as possible, because I want these to be, yeah, I want these to sound like the Shures, but it's more portable than the Shures, right? So this is kind of going to be my benchmark for IEMs from now on. So yeah, once I do that, I'm not actually sure if I will take the Tesseracts once I EQ them, because the main reason I would take the Tesseracts is just the Tesseracts had a better balanced all-around tuning. It's great for energetic tracks because it has more bass, and the treble's not as harsh or fatiguing. But if you EQ the Obravos properly, it already had the soundstage, the technicalities, and the detail. The resolution and everything was ready there. Once you EQ it, I'm not sure if I would even take the Tesseracts with the Vortex cable over it. And this is like really a lot more expensive, right? Like if you're talking about MSRP, that's like $4,500 MSRP. You combine it with the cables, right? Yeah, I'm not even sure if I would take that over an EQ'd Obravo. So yeah, if I EQ these Obravos properly, drive them with the proper source, get better tips, then I might actually go with these over the Nostalgia Tesseracts, believe it or not, right? And this is from 2016. Again, these IEMs are from like almost 10 years ago, and they still compete very, very well with some of the best flagships that I've already experienced so far from modern IEMs. So anyways, that's my little take on the Shure versus Obravo conversation here, as well as the Obravos versus the Nostalgia Tesseracts. You know, as much as I love the Tesseracts, and I did do that comparison, right, versus the Satins and the Multiverse Mentors. As much as I love that, yeah, man, these Obravos, like, I don't know. I know people online give Obravos a hard time sometimes, but make sure you drive them with a proper source, a great DAC, and then you burn them in, right, for like at least 100 hours, maybe even 200 hours. You put proper tips on these things. Like I know they're finicky, right? You got to get them correct. You EQ them for a bit. You do all those things, and this becomes like really pretty much end game level, you know. Same thing with the Shures. You EQ these properly, they become end game level. So that's what I gotta say. I know there's people out there like being like, yeah, I don't want to do all that, it's too much work. But hey, if you want to go spend like $6,000, $7,000 on Subtonic Storm or $13,000 on Fugaku, you can do that. But I'm just saying, you can do some things that don't really even require that much money to make these better, right? Just you know, tips, that's like what, 20-30 bucks for really good tips. I mean, not US dollars. US dollars, let's say, is 15 bucks US. You'll get some pretty good tips, right? Yeah, you just burn them in, leave them in, and you probably already have a good DAP if you're an audiophile. Yeah, that's really all you need to do is just those few things, and you just EQ it, which you probably already have on your DAP, right? You probably already have EQ software on your DAP. Just do those things, and it requires almost not much money invested into that at all, right? Compare that to just, you know, buying like $5,000, $6,000 IEMs just to get the perfect sound, when you can just do the things I said about the Obravos. And these things, well, I got this for $750 US. The Shures I got for $1,200 US. Like, you EQ them properly and you do those things I mentioned, which doesn't even take much money investment, just a little bit of time investment, that's it. Give them a bit of TLC, you know, and they're right up there. They're right up there with a $5,000 IM once you do that. So, hey, you know, I'm not saying everyone should, I'm not saying everyone has to go follow my advice or anything, but I'm just saying, take that into consideration, right? These 2016 flagship IEMs with the unique technologies and stuff that people apparently are dumping online because they don't want it, because they're not the latest hyped IEM online or whatever. Yeah, I would say go take a look at these. You give them some TLC, give them some good EQ, give them some good sources. Don't even need to change out the cables because they use proprietary cables. I know it's a drawback, but for me, I don't even need to change out those cables. It already sounds really good. Then you already have like really end game level IEMs in my opinion. So, and I've tried Subtonic Storm before, which is, I know, a great IEM, but man, for that money, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that. For me, I'd rather just put some TLC on these older flagships rather than you know, paying up like $5 or $6 grand for like a new IEM that everyone might be hyped after. Just my personal opinion. You know, I spent a lot of money on IEMs already now, like the Multiverse Mentors, Quill Satins, these Tesseracts, Vortex cables. I had an Effect Audio Shure cables. Spent thousands of dollars on this stuff, and I'm telling you guys, it's a better investment to just go back to some of these older IEMs that people don't even like. They kind of are dumping because they're not like trendy anymore, and just give them some TLC, right? Give them some EQ, good sources and everything, and yeah, they'll pay you back. You know, they'll reward you. You don't even need to. For me, like, at least, yeah, I'm not even interested to hear the new flagship IEMs anymore. Empire Ears Odin 2, or the new what, Nostalgia Pendragon, the Aroma Core. There's like new ones coming out all the time. Yeah, like the Noble Kronos I heard is really good. I'm sure it's good, but you're paying a lot of money for those ones, right? And I think, in my experience, just put, like, these ones are much cheaper, right? Just buy these ones, give them some TLC, and they'll be right up there with current day flagships. I swear. Just try it. So that's my opinion. Yeah, overall, very, very happy and satisfied with the Shure KSE1200s, as well as the Obravo EAMT-2Cs. Yeah, that's not a great name. Obravo's not really good at naming their stuff. Their RACCU 21.5 sounds like a chemical element, right? No, they suck at naming stuff. But anyways, my advice, guys, after listening to these, yeah, they're great. Just a great value. If you can find them, get them. Spend some time to EQ them, give them the proper source, give them, like, you know, make sure that they're comfortable and everything. Of course, Shure is already very comfortable, but make sure you get the proper tips for these. Give them proper cables, and yeah, burn them in and stuff. Just give them some TLC and they'll reward you. Yeah, these old school 2016 era IEMs, once you give them some TLC, yeah, once you, like, basically you fiddle around with them a bit, but they'll reward you for that. And in my opinion, they can be right up to the level of current day modern flagships. really, and you compete with any of them from the 3K, 4K, 5K range. So that's, guys, just my opinion, you know, and that's me after having tried a lot of IEMs so far, a lot of high-end ones too. No, I've tried the Viking Ragnars, I've tried the TF Fortes, I've tried the, you know, the Multiverse Mentors, the Subtonic Storm. I tried all those. the Forte Macbeth, you know, I've tried all these ones, and I swear, you give these ones TLC, they'll be right up there. These older ones that people don't even, yeah, they kind of just dumped because they're not hyped or anything like that. Yeah, just, you can buy them for cheap and then just do a little bit of fiddling with them with the EQ and stuff, and then they'll reward you, right? They'll be right up there with the current modern day flagships, in my opinion. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, that's a comparison between the Obravos and the Shures. Both, I think, are really, really great if you take the time to invest in the proper adjustments for them. And by the way, I haven't even mentioned the cables yet. Like, for these days, if you're investing in high-end IEMs, you're paying like $4,000, $5,000 for like a high-end flagship IEM. You're also going to have to buy another flagship cable with it, and that's going to cost like another couple $1,000s maybe, because cables are very expensive for IEMs nowadays, right? The PW Audio, Effect Audio, Elitech, you know, Beat Audio, Breeze, you know, all these like cable companies making very, very expensive cables. Yeah, so you're paying like, just think about it, right? You're paying how much for IEMs and how much for cables, right? When you could be just, in my opinion, you could buy one of these old flagship IEMs and just, yeah, just fiddle around with them for a bit, adjust them a bit, and yeah, like, you can get, in my opinion, pretty much similar tier of sound for much less, you know. That's just my opinion, though. All right, so let me know, guys, which one you guys would prefer out of these, and let me know your comments. I know not a lot of people have even done reviews on Obravos online, so hey, I'm glad that my review's out here now. And then, yeah, Shure's, it's just pretty incredible in my opinion. Tesseracts, you know, I still think Tesseracts are also, you know, they deserve a little bit more love as well. Not too many people talk about those. But yeah, nowadays I know there's so many IEMs out there in the wild. Just don't forget that there's still IEMs from as far back as 2016 that are still competitive, in my opinion, with current day flagships. So yeah, I mean, I just tested them with a pretty good DAP, right? Aston Current SP3000M is a pretty high-end DAP here, and yeah, these are all really good. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and hopefully I have now finished my IEM search. And yeah, it's just too much to keep up with. So many new IEMs being released all the time. So yeah, just too much for me. Hopefully I can end my search, and then won't have to keep spending the money and churning like a lot of guys do here. A lot of audio files. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.
It's pretty fun to listen to. It's like a slightly warm, mid-centric type of headphone.
It is mid-centric, right?
Yep.
So it's pretty good with the vocal tracks.
Yeah. It's more of a...
And soundstage is pretty nice too, I think.
Soundstage is not the biggest, but it's there. It's intimate. It's like an intimate soundstage, I would say, which is fine. And then also the soundstage is actually a bit more up and down, front and back. So a little bit less to the width.
But it's more like the depth.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit up and down, front and back, but a little bit less to the width. The width is more intimate, which is still okay. It doesn't have the most detail, but it's got this nice little warm mid that's pretty forward, like a nice forward warm mid. And just enough bass where it's still okay. Treble is a touch recessed, but still okay, still there, but a little bit recessed. So overall, it doesn't have the most detail though as a result, but it's just a fun kind of mid-centric warm type of
That makes it good for vocals, right? Because you want to have like intimate vocals. You want to have them a little bit forward and have some depth. So I think it's good for that.
I think this one would be better more for like male vocals. I think for female vocals, maybe not quite as much, because female vocals it probably sounds a bit better with a little bit more upper mid. Because this one the treble is a little bit recessed, so the upper mid's also a touch recessed too as a result. So for female vocals, I think it'll still be okay, but I think for male vocals that's where it shines, because it's more of a warm kind of mid-centric sound for but it's a fun thing to listen to.
Yeah. It's good. I got it for like it's an old IEM too. It's like from 10 years ago. I got it for like $700.
How was it normally?
We originally retailed for 3,000 back then. It's like
Okay, for 3,000, this is totally not worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I got it for 700. So
Yeah,
I'm like
that's okay.
that's good.
That's okay.
That's price.
That's okay.
Yeah.
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 But then, like, honestly, like, you know, if you like something like this,
Yeah.
then I would recommend just getting a cheaper FLC8S or FLC8, because FLC8 is pretty much this, but then without the recessed treble, and then a little bit more warmer bass,
Okay.
and then the mids have more detail. It's just better across the board, the FLC8.
Okay.
Because the FLC8 pretty much just it's because it's a warm sound too, but with more detail, and then nothing's recessed. So and more it's a fun sound as well. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
I think those ones might be hard to find now, but yeah, if I can find one.
Oh no, get the new version. Because they released a new version of it. It's called the
Oh,
yeah. Is
they did.
because mine is the FLC8S,
Yeah.
and the new one's like FLC8N, I think.
N?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can find that. It's only like $300 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so is how was it? When was it released?
It was released a few years ago. It's not like brand new. Because
Oh,
mine,
okay.
mine was like 4, 5, 6 years ago, and
So
this
it's
one's like
the
a few years
newer
ago.
version.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everywhere on those websites in the US.
Okay. It's like
Yeah.
2018. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
see if they have a Black Friday sale or something.
Because what I noticed is that if you go for like even the older IEMs,
Yeah.
if they're done well, they still can compete with the modern ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like older doesn't mean it's worse.
Yeah.
Like it can still compete with the modern ones.
I highly recommend you just
Yeah.
might as well get the FLC8S, and then you can probably just sell this one back for 700. You save some
Well,
money.
if I like it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And give them a compare and see.
Hmm.
Yeah, because the other is actually a little bit of a warm sound, still has treble and nice bass, and nothing's recessed. And that mid is nice because mid is also kind of warm, but it's also dynamic.